Hey guys, it is time for a new tier list, finally. Again, I'm gonna do 3 different tier lists. If there's a tier list that doesn't interest you, you can skip through the chapters. I will mark them down and you can just skip to the tier list you want to see. Also, I'm gonna make chapters to have where the explanation starts and where the actual final tier list is as well. And if you guys enjoyed this content, feel free to like or subscribe to my channel. Alright, so Greedent is in the game. Let's just start straight up with Greedent. So we start with the SoloQ lane tier list. This is for characters that are good at laning and good in SoloQ, pretty much. We start with Greedent, just probably the best Pokemon in the game now. Just play him wherever you want, play him Centra, play him lane. This Pokemon is beyond busted with Corvette and Beige. Honestly, yeah, character is beyond broken. Venusaur, I think Venusaur is still a solid A tier in SoloQ. Actually, nah, probably Venusaur is the S tier. I would still put Venusaur on S tier in lane. There's not a lot of carries you can pick, and Venusaur is probably still one of the better carries. If you want to play late game carry, obviously got hurt a bit. So it's like on the lower part of TS now, probably between TS and TA, but still pretty solid. Gengar's a terrible laner. Can work, but I'm not going to put him D tier, because I still think he has some use. But yeah, pretty terrible. Mr. Mime still easily TS character for me. One of the strongest laning characters in the game. Great last hitting potential, especially after level 4, can bully certain characters a crazy amount, can do a lot of things on his own. Doesn't matter if you play Guard Swap or Barrier, if you play more SoloQ oriented like I do with Guard Swap, or you can also play more team oriented with Barrier. Just insane character. Snorlax easily tier A, somewhere also probably between here and there. I just don't like putting like full tanks that don't do damage in S tier because they're just not made to carry SoloQ games. But if your team is better, he can make your team win games more. So that's why I like put supports and like good supports and stuff more in A tier than S tier. Just for the reason that if your team is worse, you probably are not going to win. But if you can set up a team that's like evenly good, you have a good chance of winning and setting up your teammates for success. Gardevoir, terrible at laning. This character really has to be stop played. It just ruins, like, I don't think there's nothing more unfun than having to lane with a Gardevoir or a Garchomp. So let's put Garchomp right next to it. Just terrible laners. I think there's literally nothing more unfun than having to lane with one of these two. They just take way too long to scale. They just need so much experience that they don't get because they also have bad early games that they just get bullied out. Absol, honestly, I don't want to put Absol down with them because I think it could be like a cheesy lane, but yeah, Absol also just doesn't really work. Absol kind of needs a level advantage. Lucario still easily S tier. One of the best laners still in the game. Insane early game, very good mid game, still very good late game as well. Can just do whatever he wants with barely getting punished. Crustle. I think Crustle is still like S or A tier in SoloQ just because he can do a lot of things on his own if you play him well, but I feel like Greedent is just a better version of Crustle now, so I'm gonna put Crustle down it here, just because I feel like Greedent does his job just a billion times better, and is even harder to punish, because by split pushing, if you play well, play Greedent split pusher, you literally can't die, you have perma sustain as well, so you can always go back to their side since you have your berries to heal up with. Crustle has 0 sustain, so falls off a bit there, so if you have a mirror match up between Crustle and Greedent, the Greedent is probably gonna win out. Greninja, pretty bad laner. I think I'm going to put him in B tier just because Water Shuriken seems kind of nice. Especially if you like even levels, it's okay. I still wouldn't recommend playing it much, but still better than the other characters in lane. Talonflame. Yeah, he's like Gengar as well a bit. Like, they can work in lane in SoloQ, but do you really want to play them? Not really. Talonflame is just a very good character in general. So, I mean, if you get some experience in lane, it can for sure work. Charizard. So actually I've been playing a lot of Flamethrower Charizard in lane, and honestly it doesn't seem that bad. Again, it's nothing amazing either. If you get to level 5, you can actually do quite a few things, but you still have to power farm a lot. But I think B tier is fine. Zeraora for me is a TA lane character. I personally like playing him a lot in lane. He's just a very overpowered character, or very overset character. Also, playing him in lane allows you to have a jungler that actually gets level 9 on Dreadnought, which is like one of his biggest weaknesses in Centra is that he doesn't get his ultimate on the first Dreadnought fight. So, I mean, honestly, I think it can also work. It's pretty cheesy. You can all-in people on level 3 that don't even expect your damage. Happens quite often. Then next up we have Cinderace, terrible laner. I would still rather. I mean, I'm not even sure. Like, absolutely, I absolutely hate laning with the Cinder Ace, but I think D tier is a bit too harsh. It just doesn't do anything in lane. It has no last hitting potential. If it's an ace even on levels, it does no damage. Honestly, I want people to stop picking this in lane. I'm just gonna put it in D tier. Please don't play Cinder Ace in lane. Unless, like, this is SoloQ meant, right? Like in Premates, you could maybe lane with someone that has XP share on them, right? But in SoloQ, just don't. You just lane with, like, I don't know, some random Pokemon, and you're not gonna get last hits, you're not gonna scale. Wouldn't recommend. Edegos, easily S or A tier. Honestly, I think she's the only, Edegos is the only support I can actually put in S tier, because Edegos can do a lot of things on his own, does a lot of damage as well. Can secure objectives as well with the ultimate, which obviously you should always go for. But it's a, yeah, I think Edegos is just very, very strong. Very strong laner, very strong mid, early, late game. Can recommend playing it. Cramorant, not the biggest fan of him. I'm gonna put him in B tier. Has also fallen off a bit due to nerfs. Yeah, Cramorant needs a team around him. It's still better than the others in lane, just because he has a good early game and can set up things. Doesn't need that many levels, so I'm gonna put him in B tier. Blastoise I think has fallen off from S to A tier. Still pretty good though. I would still recommend playing him. He's still a pretty strong character. Also in lane, I just think just a bit weaker now. Also somewhere between S and A tier, I would probably put him. So yeah. Pikachu. So I've been playing a lot of Pikachu lately, but mostly in Premates, because I don't think he's still that good in SoloQ. The Thunder buff was kind of nice. He does a lot of damage, but he just doesn't really confirm anything. Again, it's the same as Cramorant. Like, you kind of need a team, because you're like a setup Pokemon that can't finish anything off unless you ultimate. But I still think that he has potential now. Like, I think I'm gonna put him into like lower A tier, and then play him a bit more in SoloQ and see if I can win games with him. But again, you just need laning partners that are, like, let's say, competent, so you can make use of Pikachu's early game as well. Actually, let's just put him in upper B tier for now. And maybe no, let's put him lower A tier. I think he has potential with Thunder buff. He actually does quite nice damage. Next up, we have Ninetales. I think Ninetales has dropped a bit, just because there's just so many unstoppable characters in the game. There's Venusaur running full heals, there's Lucario with unstoppable or full heal, there's Greedent running around with unstoppable, there's Blastoise who can be unstoppable, Crussel. There's so many things in the meta just like unstoppable, and just Ninetales just struggles very hard with them. Still like a upper B tier character though. Let's put these in order. I'm gonna try to put them in order and think how strong they are. So yeah, I think it's like an upper B tier character still. Next we have Wigglytuff. Also still easily A tier. Again, another character that requires a team. Could probably put it higher, but A tier is still pretty solid. Let's put it above Pikachu. Slowbro. I think Slowbro is actually a bit stronger now than he was last patch for sure. Amnesia is actually quite nice. Has a pretty low cooldown now. He's also the only counter to Greedent, because he can ultimate the unstoppable. He can ultimate unstoppable targets. So if the enemy Greedent ults, runs into you with Covet, he can actually, like, shut him down. It's not that amazing, but it's counterplay. So let's just put him in B tier for now. Machamp. I personally like Machamp a lot in SoloQ. I think his ultimate has huge potential. I think I would put him somewhere in like mid B tier, personally. I mean, I'm a fan of it. It's not that insane. If you get through early game, it's quite fine, actually. If you have the enemy jungler or your jungler playing around your lane, after you get level 5 with submission, you can actually quite farm a lot of kills. I think he's still pretty good. Wigglytuff is another character that should be S tier, but in SoloQ, again, you rely on your teammates. Still strong enough for me to put it into A tier. Yeah, if you're a healer main, you can for sure play Blissey, but again, certain games you just will not win due to you not being able to deal damage, and you're relying on your teammates. But if your teammates are the same level or a bit better, you can help them win games much, much harder. Sylveon, probably the one, like, Sylveon is very strong in SoloQ. One of the best laners, hits her power spikes very, 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 very fast, can be an insane bully, and yeah. If you're like a lane DPS kind of guy, then Sylveon should be in your character pool. Mamoswine. Mamoswine is a very good laner, but like, you just don't win games with this character. Put him to lower C tier. You just don't win games with this character. He just falls off so hard. If your laner early game doesn't know that you're capable of having insane early game, then you will just drop off, and yeah, you're just gonna drop off very, very fast. All right, that is the SoloQ tier list. Okay, let's put Cinder A still. Let's put Cinder A still above these. Can I even? Okay, Cinder A's. Let's go. Okay. All right. I think, yeah. Right, just shouldn't play those characters in lane. I think most of them are kind of in order how strong they are in lane. B tier, A tier is a bit like, I have no idea how to rank these accordingly in their rank. But yeah, I think this looks pretty solid. All right. Next up, we have the Central lane tier list. Let me reset this. I'm just going to leave it up for the screen a bit. And all right. Oh, you guys can pause the video, I guess. Let's reset and start with the Central lane tier list. There we go, Central lane tier list. Venusaur, probably still S tier. If Venusaur gets ahead, still very strong. Well, let's start with Greedent again. Greedent, best character in the game. No doubt, even in Central. This character is just beyond busted. I don't know. This character has barely any counterplay. Yeah, Greedent S tier. Cinder Ace, probably the second best. Or like, these two are like the two best. Either you play lane Greedent with a Central Cinder Ace, or yeah, you just play Greedent in Central. Just very strong. Maybe I should just put them in TS. Actually, I mean, this is like both. Like, this Central tier list is both like for solo queue and team play. Because I think Central is kind of like neutral when it comes to competitive or pre-mating compared to solo queue as well. So it's kind of the same. Gengar probably goes into B tier in Central. Does his thing, can work, not that amazing. Let's make this into a round Central, like last time. These Pokemon you just simply don't put into Central. I'm not saying they're bad in Central, but you should not play them in Central. So Mime, this. Then we have Gardevoir. Again, Gardevoir is a character that could Central if you could reach level 9. If Gardevoir had her ultimate on level 9, probably could be a good Central player. But if you want to play Gardevoir, it probably has to be in Central due to a bad laning phase. If the enemies also have like a low scaling Central, it can actually it can work. Still not amazing. Upso, I think Upso is a solid B tier. Can work. There's some pretty good Upso players out there that can make Upso work. It just falls off pretty hard. Can snowball games though. Garchomp, same as Gardevoir. Just needs level 10. Like, if those characters if Garchomp would get ultimate on level 9, he could actually probably be played in Central. Much, much easier. I think you can still Central with those. If you want to play them, you have to play them Central again. But yeah. Lucario. I mean, I would not Central with Lucario because you're kind of wasting his lane potential. But if you really want to, you probably can. Let's put him into B tier. Crussish on Central, Greninja, still easily S tier. Also in solo queue or premates even. Water Shuriken double team, very, very strong. Very impressive. Talonflame, insane character currently. Would recommend playing it. Charizard, I think Charizard is a solid A tier Central. Just overshadowed by all these insane characters above him. Zeraora is like low S tier character. Works very good on solo queue. Even though, again, I just said you don't get his ultimate on level 9, which is an issue. Still, the character is just way too overstated. And if he has a level advantage, he just one-shots you in one discharge. Eldegoss, we don't Central. Blastoise. Yeah, Blastoise is like now also like a lower B tier. He lost a lot of damage, so I wouldn't really Central with them, but it could still work with Rapid Spin and Water Spout. Yeah, I would not play Surf or Hydro Pump in Central, but this could still work. Same as Lucario. I feel like you're kind of wasting his okay as like, I mean, he's not as insane as Lucario in lane. He's okay in laning. But with this character, the problem is that you kind of waste a huge DPS spot if you pick him in Central. He's more like a secondary DPS, I guess, not a main DPS, which you want to have in Central. Ninetales, we don't Central. This, okay. Machamp, I think Machamp is also a solid A tier. I think he's pretty underrated, but again, also just Machamp, just another character like Charizard who is overshadowed by just much better Pokemon. But I still think that he's a solid A tier Central. Sylveon, I think Sylveon can still be pretty fine. With Sylveon, you guarantee that you get your ultimate on the first Dreadnought, doesn't matter what, because you will always reach level 8, which is huge. But again, you also give up her great laning phase if you play her Central. And you're not really a hyper carry. I think you can play both Mystical Fire or Hyper Voice in Central, but yeah, just to put it in lower 8 here, I still wouldn't recommend necessarily playing it, but I think if you play it, it's still kind of strong. And then these are the last one. So this is the Centra tier list. Gonna leave it up on the screen this for a second again. Do I have them kind of in order? I think I do. Actually, I think Venusaur's like maybe around here now. Greedent Cinder Ace the best, and then Talonflame Greninja pretty far, like pretty close behind. And yeah, Gengar got buffed, but like those healing buffs are not enough to like I think put him into a higher tier yet. Needs a bit more than just having Spell Vamp. Alright, off to the last tier list. Reset. Premade laning. So this is for like pretty much everything. This is for duo Q, triple Q, and 5-man premade. So this is not a competitive tier list. This is just for premade laning in ranked, pretty much. Greedent again S tier, best character in the game. Venusaur, I think Venusaur solid A tier still in premade laning. I think it has fallen off a bit. Of course, got nerfed. Solar Beam is actually quite nice as well, but I don't think Solar Beam is S tier worthy. I think Solar Beam is a solid A tier now. I always thought like a Solar Team between like A and B tier. Now with a small buff, I think it's A tier worthy. Petidance, Giga Drain also is obviously still pretty good, but I think A tier is kind of fair. Gengar terrible in premade laning. Mr. Mime insanely overpowered in premade laning. You have very big setup. You have very good last hitting potential. Snorlax, very good in premates if you play with someone. Gardevoir, absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. Those characters just get rolled over if you also face other premates and you have to lane against them. You're not gonna have a good time playing those characters. Garchomp, yeah, Lucario still S tier. Crustle, I think a solid A tier. If your team knows what you're doing and you let them know what you're doing, he can be quite powerful as well in premates. Greninja. Yeah, I mean, I think Greninja's still better than these characters just because his abilities are pretty good. Double Team and Water Shuriken. Talonflame, wouldn't recommend playing. Charizard, same as Greninja, I feel like. Zeraora, I think can work. Also in premade laning, just not as good. But if you play like a cheesy lane with very strong all-in potential, it could actually be quite good. Cinder Ace, I guess C tier now. Again, if you play with an XP share support, it could be fine. If you like duo Q with someone that has XP share and can like also win early game last hits and then funnel XP into you, I think it's fine. Eldegoss, very OP in premates. Cramorant, I think Cramorant just is falling off in general. I'm gonna put him in A tier for now. He can still be fine, especially combined with like a Snorlax or something. Can still work. Blastoise, I think, is pretty fine in premade laning as well. Solid A tier. I just don't think it's enough for S tier any longer, but still a very good character. Pikachu, let's put him into a strong A tier for now. I mean, I've been playing a lot of Pikachu, and I think he's quite good if you play around in a team. The problem is that like I don't want to put him in S tier just because I don't think attackers on bot lane are that strong right now that they rival with like all these Pokemon. Of course, you need one of those most often, but still, like the character's not strong enough to be here, but he's strong enough to be played. Ninetales, put her into lower A tier. Actually, I don't know which one I like more, Cramorant or Ninetales. I'm not quite sure actually. I'm not going to put these in order of strength, I think, in that tier. I think that would be a bit too difficult. Wigglytuff, solid S tier still in premates if you like duo triple Q and you have a good Wigglytuff lane, very hard to deal with. Slurbo, solid B tier. Machamp, this is like the time when Machamp drops off a lot in premates. In lane, it just doesn't work as good as he does in SoloQ. Blissey, S tier. Mamoswine. This is where like Mamoswine is like considered a good character now. Like he's somewhere between A and B tier. So I'm just gonna put him like, I feel like he's close to Slowbro. So if we put him, I want to put him somewhere here. I'm not quite sure. He can be very oppressive in laning phase. So let's just put him into lower A tier for premates. we have seen a few Mammoth Swines being played in 5v5s, and yeah, his early game is very good. He just falls off very hard, but he can be very, very oppressive. And then Sylveon, it's like Sylveon is very good, but then also again, it's like, okay, again, botlane attackers just, yeah. I mean, okay, I think Sylveon is probably S tier. Very strong character. I recently switched to Pikachu in Premades, but if you like do triple Q, you can also obviously still play Sylveon. Just, I think these are like the best, or like Pikachu and Sylveon are the two best laning attackers now in Premades. And yeah, that is the tier list. As you can see, it's quite different from the SoloQ lane tier list. Still a lot of the same things. I just bumped up the support characters that are very good to lane with up, especially again if you do Q on a lane or triple Q. Makes them much, much better. And yeah, I'm gonna leave it up for a second again. I hope you guys enjoyed the tier list. Again, if you have any questions, as always, about this, you can also ask me in my stream or leave a comment down below. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!